r/AskReddit by Redmond Dtes. What real life event should be made into a movie but hasn't been? The Dassler brothers screwing each other's wives and getting involved with the Nazis and wanting to kill each other. So they started rival shoe companies Puma and Adidas. The Boston Molasses Flood of 1919. Get that Independence Day guy on it. I'd like to see a movie about this guy in 1850s Vienna figuring out that the reason the maternity ward overseen by doctors had a mortality rate 3 times that of the midwives ward was because the doctors did autopsies and didn't wash their dirty freaking hands. Ignaz Semmelweis. Sorry for yelling. To add to this, no one believed him, or wanted to believe him, for quite a while. I bet as a doctor it must be hard to hear that you won inadvertently killing your patients. Federal Express Flight 705. A disgruntled FedEx worker who was on the verge of being fired tried to hijack a FedEx plane mid-flight, attacking the crew with hammers and a spear gun. He planned to crash the plane into FedEx headquarters hoping it'd look like an accident and that his family would get a life insurance payoff. The crew managed to fight him off and land the plane. I feel the story of Phineas Gage would make for a great film. The story of how the Adventures of Superman radio show was used to strip away the mystique of the KKK and the resulting decline in Klan membership. The Chicago World's Fair of 1893. I know there's talk about Eric Larson's book, Devil in the White City, being adapted, but it really needs to happen. Both about everything that went into the fair, and the serial killer, H.H. Holmes, who was active at the time. Robert Smalls, the slave who sailed himself to freedom. Maybe as a historical comedy series, but the story of Timothy Dexter. Dexter was a complete idiot. Never formally educated, constantly making the dumbest decisions in the world and even wholeheartedly listening to some great advice given by people who expressly hated him and wanted him to fail. But Dexter managed to amass a fortune through sheer dumb luck because his stupid decisions were always the most fortunate thing to do at the time, right when major events caused upset in the financial world. For example, he invested in Continental dollars during the Revolutionary War. Nobody thought this was a good idea because they expected Washington and his revolutionaries to lose. Yeah. He also bought in 2 British pounds in the French currencies, which ended up increasing in value when the wars finished and these countries were now trading. When he married a wealthy widow, he played the stock market. At random. Every stock he picked went up. Brought bed warming pans, stray cats and mittens to trade. In the Caribbean. The stray cats ended up being sold to great value due to a rat problem in the Caribbean at the time, and the mittens, while useless in the tropical climate, ended up selling for quite a bit to traders bound to Siberia. The captain of the ship he was traveling on realized he was an idiot and helped ensure he wasn't swindled, so recommended he sell the bed warming pans, also useless to sugar farms, as molasses ladles. Brought Bibles to the not very religious West Indies, and ended up selling them to missionaries who would use the books to preach. Bought a bunch of utterly useless whale bones and filled entire warehouses with them. He was able to sell his entire stock because it was found that they were ideal materials for making corsets. And the feat he is most well known for, selling coal to Newcastle. Keep in mind that Newcastle is a coal mining town. And there was a coal miners' strike right in the dead of winter, meaning that he could sell his stock at a premium since the local industry was completely crippled. A biopic of Emperor Norton of San Francisco. TLDR dude who was crazy, a con man, or both. Declares himself Emperor of the United States and becomes a beloved celebrity in mid-1800s San Francisco. He actually did some very cool things, like risking his life to stop a labor riot, and was also friends with Mark Twain. It's one of the best life is stranger than fiction stories that, as far as I know, no one has ever dramatized. The story of Bill and Don Whittington. They were ace drivers, primarily involved with sports car endurance racing. They were part of the team that won the 1979 24 Hours of Le Mans, and were very successful in IMSA during the first half of the 80s. It turned out they were funding their racing efforts by smuggling drugs. Thanks to them, during the 80s IMSA was jokingly referred to as the International Marijuana Smugglers Association. It actually stands for International Motorsports Association. The 2000 Spanish Paralympic basketball controversy. The 1904 Olympic men's marathon. The 1904 marathon was a largely informal affair, run on an unsuitable course and over roads so dusty that it caused many of the athletes to collapse. The first man across the line dropped out of the race at mile 9, hitched a ride back to the stadium, then got out at mile 19 and jogged in. His deception was realized after taking a winner's photo with Alice Roosevelt. Thomas Hicks, the actual winner, was dosed by his trainers with strychnine and brandy and had to be carried over the finish line and out of the stadium to the hospital. William Garcia, a postman, hitchhiked to St. Louis after losing all his cash in New Orleans to participate and ran in his street clothes with the legs cut off his pants. Having not eaten for 40 hours prior to the race, he stopped in an orchard to snack on some rotten apples. Getting stomach cramps from that, he stopped and took a nap on the side of the dusty road. Despite the nap, he finished 4th. Lentornaine, a South African who was in country as part of the World's Fair exhibit on the Second Boer War, participated in the race, along with another South African, Jan Mashione. Lentieu, as he was known, finished 9th, which was a disappointment, as many observers were sure Lentieu could have done better if he had not been chased nearly a mile off course by wild dogs. Edit. Oh yeah, the organizer only allowed one water station on the 24.85 mile run to conduct research on purposeful dehydration. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.